Our next founding distributor that we're going to have the pleasure to hear from he's a true gentleman. I believe he has about, and he's a leader, I think he has about 8 founding distributors in his organization. One of the things I appreciate about him is that he's always positive, he's always upbeat. He calls me every once in a while, and he's solution-oriented, not problem-oriented. You know those kind of people? Don't you like to be around those kind of people? But here's one of the main reasons why I think you'll be real interested in listening to this gentleman today, and one of the reasons why he's speaking to us. It's because he is a thriving, successful entrepreneur right now in his own right, before Sozo ever came along. He has a thriving, successful business. And yet, when he was approached by his sponsor, Randy Donnell, he was interested. He was interested, and he is making the most of it. Help me welcome Mr. Scott Poole to the stage.
I'm doing all right, getting good grades, the future's so bright. I gotta wear shades. I gotta wear shades.
Okay, so when Brian called me last week, he asked me if I would come out and talk today and talk about prosperity, and I said, yes, I would love to. He said, great, you have 8 minutes. So if I sound like I'm talking fast, I am. All right, so let me say this. For me, prosperity is many things coming together. It's my relationship with God, it's my relationship with my family, and then it's my finances, right? And without the first two, the third one means nothing. All right, so let me tell you how it happened for us. All right, so 11 years ago, I left corporate America and I went to work for myself, right? And at the time, I drove a white Volkswagen Fox, 4-door, one just like that right there. So I worked out of the house, and the car was my mobile office. And let me say this. That car today is still one of my favorite cars. Number one, it was paid for. And number two, I could push it start by myself, right? and for some reason, I was at a place in life where that happened a lot to me, all right? So anyhow, we got the business going, right? So it took me about 6 months before I had it going good enough to where my wife, who is the boss, right? And my number one fan, she's always been there regardless of what I wanted to try or what I wanted to do. She's always been there to support me, all right? So she could come home and work out. She worked out of the house, right? She did the books, programmed the phones, all that good stuff. And then I went out and saw the customers, and we kept growing the business, right? So then we got it to a point to where we needed to move out of the house and into an office. And I remember that specifically because I was very worked up about the first major expense of my homeless business, right? Okay, so obviously I got over that. We moved into an office, and then we worked through that. And then it was time to open a retail store. And the market was right for it. So we opened our first store on South Mays in Round Rock, Texas. And the night before we opened the store, I had sold a big phone deal, so I was programming some phones, and the computer guys there were sitting with the computers and all that good stuff. My wife comes out of the bathroom and says, we got to go. She went into labor 7 weeks early, so we got in the car and drove in 5 o'clock traffic. I drove her to the hospital where she stayed for 2 weeks. Our oldest daughter was born, and she stayed there for 11 days, and she has not been back to work since, right? And I'm not complaining about that. That's not a complaint, right? That's why we went to work for ourselves. We made those changes in our lives so we would have that freedom, right? And I've tried to bring her back from retirement a few times, but I have not been successful at that. All right, so I'm going to keep going here because I'm running out of time, right? So we keep growing the business, and I got to the point to where I could get the right people to come to work with me, right? People that were much better at doing a lot of things than I am. People like Ezra Coronado right here and Amber Vale. They're sitting in the crowd today, guys. I value their presence so much in my life that we do this together. We work on it together, right? All right, so together we kept growing the business, and today we're a multi-point operation. We have stores in Austin, Round Rock, Temple, Killeen, and we have a corporate office in Round Rock. And in 2008, we got the business to where we did well over $4 million in sales volume. Pretty cool, right? We're in the cell phone business. So where am I going with this? It's this. Prosperity is a journey that you choose to go on, right? It doesn't fall out of the sky and land on you. You got to step out there and you got to go with it, okay? So I chose to quit my job, and I'm not telling anybody to quit your job. That's what worked for me, okay? But I chose to sign leases. I chose to hire employees, right? Did I always make the right decisions? No, I didn't. Sometimes I made big mistakes. Was I nervous? I was nervous a lot of the times. I didn't know the first time I signed a lease, I'd never done that before, right? The landlord knew it too. He took advantage of me, right? So what I want to do is I'm going to try to give you 3 quick points that I think that you can apply in this business, and it's the basic ones that we've used, all right? And they're very simple stuff, guys. All right, so if if we were friends, do you think that if you knew me, that it's safe to say that you may think that I was a successful person if you knew that I owned some stores, right? All right, so when you were making your list, do you think maybe you might think, well, Scott's already successful. I'm not going to put him on my list. He wouldn't want to do this. Is that fair? Wrong. Guys, we are in the traditional bricks and mortar retail business. The past 16 months has been rough on us, right? Every month we fight harder and harder to keep, to hold ground. When every month we give up a little bit. It's just the way it is. So when Randy called me, right, he got about halfway through the conversation. I said, I'm in. Let's do this. What's the product? Well, I can't tell you. It's a consumable. Okay, when it gets here, I'll consume it, right? It didn't matter to me. I saw the opportunity. I was ready to go. So point number 1, don't prejudge, right? Put everybody on your list, all right? Everyone you know, put them on a list, and there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. We'll talk about training some other time, but get into training and learn how to do it the right way. All right, so second point is this, and this is a true story. You can go and talk to Randy later today. So in that same first conversation, I told him that, hey, I will do this with you, but I will not talk to anybody that I know. I will not invade my warm market with some attitude, right? Okay, so he laughed too, and I'm glad that he accepted me in, because here's what Randy knew at the time. What he knew is that I didn't have enough belief, right? All I had to do is get my belief going, and I would be okay. So the second point is this: is that don't let your fear beat you. Don't let your fear rob you of prosperity, right? Y'all understand that, right? Okay. So the third point is this, and this is going to fit into the tough love category, all right? So I'm going to talk to myself first. All right, so I have 2 daughters, 6 and 9, right? And obviously the 6-year-old's on top. I'm not sure about the guy on the bottom. All right, so I work this business a lot in the evenings, right? And she cries. She doesn't want me to go anywhere. She wants me to stay home. And what do I want to do? I want to stay there with her, right? Okay, so it is the tougher decision, but it is the better decision. Y'all understand that, right? Guys, what I'm trying to say here is this, is that you're going to have some sacrifices, okay? Prosperity has got to be a priority. It has to be one of the number ones in your life, okay? Moms, dads, you're going to miss a few dance recitals. You're going to miss a few baseball games and all that stuff. They'll be there next year, right? What you're doing is you're trading a season of your life, 12 to 24 months, for a lifetime of freedom. What do we want? The lifetime of freedom, right? All right, so those are the simple things that we did, right? Ezra and I started working on this together, and we just ran as hard as we could, as fast as we could, in opposite directions, right? He ran down to San Antonio. Then I started working with Jay and Carrie. Then I started working with Wayne. Then it was Jeff. Then it was the Cougars. And then we found ourselves in Temple working with Kim Bledsoe and Mark Munson. Where's Kim Bledsoe? Is he in here? Okay. So 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, we went to Temple, and I was going to do an overview for him, and I got there about 6:30 or so, and he wasn't there. And we went ahead and got started at 7, and they said, hey, Kim's not going to be here tonight. He's in the hospital. He's having a severe allergy and asthma attack, and he can't breathe. Okay, so I thought, that's not good. So we went ahead and did the overview. When it was done, a couple of guys went to go see him. He had gotten out of the emergency room, and he was at his other office, and he was signing somebody up. Kim, stand up. Stand up. That's a person right there that has chosen prosperity in his life, right? That right there. He didn't let his excuses beat him, right? So if you call me and you tell me, hey, I'm in the hospital, I can't breathe, that's a bona fide excuse, right? Anything else is a choice. I'm telling you to choose prosperity. So real quick, I'm going to leave you with one point if we can get this last slide up here. Okay, if the product is the same for everybody and the compensation is the same for everybody, what's different for everyone? You. What's the one thing you can change in this opportunity? You. Okay, guys, there it is. All right, so if you're sitting in this room right now, you have chosen prosperity. Pretty cool, right? Everybody raise your right hand there. Raise them high. Raise them up high. Pat yourself on the back. Prosperity in 8 minutes or less.